G-Roll Electronic Productions, baby.
Welcome. I'm JJ, the psychotherapist. Thank you for joining me. We're gonna get into some news. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out, and go ahead and subscribe. You know, this is my new YouTube channel. If you want to know what happened to my other one, sign up for my Patreon. The link is in the description. So let's go ahead and build up subscribers on the new channel over here. We're going to be talking about this article by the Gateway Pundit, talking about the party of the Karens, the new Democratic Party alienates non-whites. Let's go ahead and check out this article here. Before I really dive into this article, let's talk about these Karens. Who are these Karens? What is a Karen? These middle-aged white women on the left that they're really racist and don't even know it. Like they're a lot of the things they say, a lot of the things they do, they're super duper racist. And again, the demographic is normally middle-aged white women on the left. And I've seen this firsthand. I've seen a lot of this firsthand. When I think of Karens, I think of like a Chelsea Handler. You know, how she told 50 Cent, I had to remind him he was black. Like, you a white woman. What are you talking about? How do you have to remind a black man that he's black? I said white, I meant black. She had to remind him that he was black. Like, you're a white woman. How are you going to remind a black man that he's black? Come on. Like, people, that's Karen. People like that. The women that called the cop, you know, it all started with the women that called the cop on the black dude in the park that was looking at birds. And to mind you, these are the same people that are pushing these leftist policies. You got segregation popping up in schools again, and they think it's not racist because because they're putting black teachers with black students, and it's like, oh, it's going to benefit them, and don't realize that it's actually segregation. We did a great video on that yesterday on one of the schools that's segregating again. But let's get into this article. After Barack Obama 2008 White House victory, Democrats believe they had created an unbreakable coalition of ascendant voters driven by increasing participation of minority groups and college-educated women. But recent left-wing economic and policy woes have brought about demographic realignment that threatens to sink Democrat chances, not just in 2022, but next several decades. And that's what a lot of people are saying. Like this red wave that's going to be coming in 2022 is going to continue in 2024 and so on. And I kind of knew this was going to happen because once the Democrats got power, we could see they can't rule. Democrats cannot rule because they're authoritarians, and we're seeing it all the policies with all the mandates. Again, they bringing back segregation and stuff like this, and wide open borders where it affect citizens, minority citizens, lower income. It affects them, and all their policies they're supposed to be helping people are actually hurting people, and people are finally seeing it and waking up, and they're fleeing. And they're fleeing a lot of these left-run states. They're fleeing a lot of these left-run cities for red states and red cities because they want their freedom back. But the article goes on to say that as Biden's approval rating have tanked with non-white voters, the Democrat Party increasingly have become dominated by liberal white women who virtue signal with suburban lawn signs and then henpeck people in supermarkets to pull their face mask up over their noses. Or put more simply, the Democratic Party is at risk of becoming a party of Karens. Recent polling suggests that Hispanic and black voters are abandoning the party. Many of these individuals are being harmed by the surge in inflation, anti-business COVID measures, and exploding crime rates in urban areas, brought about by a year of left-wing measures. See, it hasn't even been a full year of Biden being in power, and look how bad it is. They try to say Orange Man bad, or they don't like the way he tweet. I don't care how he tweet. I look at policy. I look what is it doing into my pockets? What is it doing to my family? What is it doing to culture? That's what I vote with. I don't care what somebody tweets. What are your policies doing? What are you doing to help me and my family? But, people are waking up now, though. For more than a decade, Democrats worked to build a voting base composed of minorities and unmarried women. After Donald Trump's 2020 loss, it would appear the mission was being accomplished. White voters dropped from 81% of the electorate in 2000 to just 67% 2 decades later. Meanwhile, Biden carried a whopping 63% of single women in 2020. However, poor public policy over the past year is already casting the idea of a continuing Democratic majority in doubt. Recent polls suggest that Hispanic and Black Americans are more likely to vote as individuals than as aggrieved racial blocs. Blacks been overwhelmingly voting for Democrats for years and haven't received any benefits from those votes. I mean, look at what Biden said. Yeah, we'll meet with you after. Told black people we'll meet with you after the election. When Trump wanted to meet with you during the election, you didn't want to meet with him, and then Biden said, well, after election we'll meet with you. Well, he still didn't have that sit down. Where are the policies that's supposed to be helping minorities? We don't see any of that. All they talking about is wanting to fund the Build Back Better. It's supposed to be for infrastructure. It's nothing to do. A minuscule amount of money is going to the infrastructure. The money is actually going to a lot of these corporations and such. That he's supposed to be, the Democrats supposedly is against big corporations, but we see how they support these big corporations. Look at big tech, what's going on there. People are standing up saying, we want something, we want to stop the censorship, and no one in government is doing anything about it. Yeah, they hold these meetings, but the meetings are not, they're not doing anything about it, really. In February, nearly 70% of Hispanic voters supported Biden. By November, the number had crashed to below 50%. In early polling for the 2022 midterm, Hispanic voters split 37 to 37% between the two major parties in the congressional preferences. There are many fingers that could be pointed at and why, but two factors seem significant. First, to borrow the phrase from James Carville, even though he's a leftist, he's a Democrat. I do like James Carville. He has some common sense. Quote, it's the economy, stupid. Record high stock prices and artificial low unemployment rates can't paper up the rampant inflation, supply shortages, and decrease the number of employees in the workforce. Among a population that owns their own business at parity rates with whites whose average income are catching up with the majority of the population. The wider economy is more than an abstract concept. Second, the cancer of wokeness is downright anathema to Hispanic Americans. 40% find the phrase Latinx or Latinx offensive, and just 2% of the group actually uses the phrase. I want to meet this 2%. I think the 2% that actually use this phrase are the people that live in these ivory towers. They're the academics, because I don't know not one Latino that actually used the Latinx name. I can't remember the percentage that are actually against it, but it's crazy. They sit down and make stuff up and write them in books and think people are gonna actually use it. Where did this stuff come from? The panic must be real for Democrats. Not only are imagery from socialism among Venezuela and Cuban Americans increasingly voting Republican, so are Mexican Americans, especially in South Texas. The disapproval rate for Biden among the group is higher than among whites. Wow, I did not know that. Among black voters, Biden approval rating had fallen from 85% to 67% by September and has continued to slide. I don't understand how the black people still support Biden. I have no clue. I mean, it's ample evidence out there to show how racist this guy is. I mean, real evidence. None of this made up stuff like the media do. You can go and actually watch the videos of him saying these racist things and stuff like that. The increasingly vapid demands of urban upper middle class often harm the communities that liberals claim to help. NIMBYism drives up housing prices for minority residents. Defund the police rhetoric has led to major cuts in law enforcement in some cities as violent crime soars and quality of life declines. I mean, crime is just horrible, especially in these left run cities and states. Crime is just jumping exponentially. It's crazy. Families in cities such as Chicago, which has experienced more murders in 2021 than any year since 1996, are forced to live with shootings that occur routinely in public. In some cases, young children have been killed by flying bullets. Black Democrats are 20% more likely to support more police funding than their white counterparts. 20% more likely, and now they're trying to go back on it and say, oh, we never said defund the police. It was the Republicans that said defund the police. But we got the receipts. We got all the receipts. Large looting gangs have San Francisco and Chicago. Poor policy and rampant handouts have created tent cities in former tourist areas such as Venice Beach, California. I mean, it's just I look at all the videos of San Francisco and places like that. It's tragic. It's tragic. I've never been to California, but I always heard wonderful things about California, and what they did to that state, what the left done to that state is a crime. People should be locked up for that. Let's go. If Democratic Party no longer has Hispanic and Black voters as electoral locks, it is left with the diminishing constituency of its most consistent members, single college-educated white women who dominated last year's social media, slacktivism and protests. I like that, slacktivism. So that's all it is. They put out a couple tweets and call themselves activists. It's crazy. It is possible that the liberal women demographic would be able to hold enough sway to choose Democrat nominees for the foreseeable future, and yet party bigwigs must understand that as offensive as much of the electorate considered Donald Trump, morphing into the party of Karens who are more concerned about carbon footprint than keeping their community safe, likely will further alienate Hispanic and Black voters. Yeah, I've never heard. I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if I ever really had a conversation with anyone in my family, or anyone Black or Hispanic that even mentioned global warming. Everyone knows it's a farce. I mean, pretty much is a scheme to try to get more taxes and try to get more money. How is me paying more taxes gonna help the environment? Please tell me. How is me giving Al Gore my money in his exchange? How is that gonna help the climate? Climate changes. It happens, but it's not anthropogenic. What I mean by that is we are not the cause of it. God is the cause of it. The climate has always changed. I mean, there was no global warming. I mean, what got us out of the ice age? We had an ice age. We had solar minimums before. You look at solar maximums before. You seen in the 1600s it was super duper cold, and now we got temperate temperatures now. You know, back then before it warmed up, there were no vehicles on the road. So how did the climate change then? It wasn't us. There is no anthropogenic climate change. I think it's cyclical and it happens on its own. But the last little part of the article says the coming second great awakening not only threatens the fabric of America's history and future, but also threatens to rip apart the Democratic Party coalition. Voters of all races who support public safety, economic opportunity, and a dose of sanity in politics may find a home in the Republican Party. For many, such a choice will be natural. For others, it will be because the new Democratic Party simply left them behind. And I think we have to do a better job at getting rid of these rhinos. I mean, it was an article with, I think was it Jeff Flake? I can't remember. But I mean, these guys, these rhinos are hurting the party. They're pushing this January 6th farce, and so we got to clean house on our side too. But again, I'm not really a Republican, but I do tend to vote Republican because I really hate the lesser two evil things. But at least they're not going they're not going against my interests. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. Please subscribe. We're gonna get these subscriptions up on my new channel here. Also, I got a bunch of t-shirts. I got Let's Go Brandon t-shirts, different other t-shirts. The link for that is in the description. And the Patreon, trying to grow a community over there on Patreon. I put up so much content over in Patreon, stuff that I can't talk about here because censorship and stuff. We really get into. I mean, I put up so much content daily over there. So check out the Patreon over there. And check out democrepublics.com for the latest in news. That's where I write articles and stuff over there. Until next time, peace.